Welcome back on the Weekender, and Mr. Bhansali, as I said, I do want to understand a bit about mindfulness, because we understand you explained to us the Sheel and Sadhana, but what about mindfulness? Because the kind of volatility that we see across, I think this is one thing to look at.
See, mindfulness is what is called awareness, and so out of the Vipassana course, the mindfulness part has been just taken out, and instead of doing long Vipassana course, mindfulness can be taught more easily. By just focusing on your breath, say for example, you will concentrate. So mindfulness is concentration. But concentration for what? As I said, it can be for selfish reasons, it can be out of fear, and so on and so forth. So mindfulness always helps. And so mindfulness is probably become extremely popular in the West after Vipassana was rolled out. And I must tell you a story that when Goenkaji Guruji passed away, there was an obituary in Huffington Post, and one of the biggest teachers of mindfulness paid homage to Guruji, saying that, well, most people don't know that where I got mindfulness, I got it from Vipassana, that Vipassana is the biggest revolution going around the world silently. And so he just said that recognizing people don't have time and they can't follow the discipline of a Vipassana course, I at least thought they will benefit from mindfulness, and you bet they are benefiting. So it's just the concentration part, but concentration using your own body and natural prop instead of some mantra or some image or some name and so on. So mindfulness is a small part of the whole potential.
You know, since you talked about it, there are various ways of meditating. There are various courses laid out in various parts of the world, as you said. What is that center point to look out for?
You know, to go back to India's wisdom again. Say, pratyahitrendriya vyuham samadhaya manonijam. That means when you introvert your senses and get them to focus on your inner reality, that's what is the meditation process. Now, to do this, to help your senses introvert, many times a lot of tools have been used. Instead of the natural process of this stillness revealing reality, many times it has been made a religious practice by focusing on some image and some name, and it is the mind, what we say, characteristic, that whenever you introvert and you focus on something, a lot of things do happen, and people get experiences. Oh, I see light, and I see, you know, you hear sounds, and I feel great. But the objective of all this was really to undo what got done. That means, how did you come into this life and death cycle? So Vipassana at least focuses on only one goal, that you must come out of this cycle. All the benefits are only incidental and not very valuable.
And there are no shortcuts. You have to go through those.
You have to go through it. And but you come to a stage where you don't mind it. You just recognize the process that if I remain still and I remain detached, this will play out. It doesn't matter how long it takes.
How difficult or how natural is it for a married person or somebody who's working to talk about detachment? We all detached. We all practice detachment. It's only the degree that varies, isn't it? So, for example, we all know how to be polite in different circumstances. Oh yes.
It's only out of detachment. So you may not like me, but your job requires me to. So I think it's not. I think once you focus on it, that's one. And second is that's the intellectual part. But the second part is that once you start becoming peaceful, your attachment goes down, and that's what leads to detachment. You don't see the purpose of being crazily attached to anything, because everything is passing, changing. So what of it?
Absolutely. So since we have you with us, it's but obvious to talk about markets a bit, and I'm sure people need a lot of meditation the way the markets have been behaving. I mean, we've gone through so much in 2016, from a change in RBI governor to an OPEC deal to a Fed rate hike to a new US president, Brexit, demonetization. We've seen it all. How would you summarize 2016?
I think 2016 is a cataclysmic year to sum up what all things you said. But it also makes a break. I think there was a whole 8-year cycle from 2008 of Lehman crisis to 2016, where there is, somebody just gave out a call, enough. And so there's enough was to, you know, oh, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, because we were recovering from excesses. I think it's time that the pendulum is started to swing for growth. So Brexit said, oh, let's give it a break. US has said that, and other countries are saying it. In our own way, we have taken the huge step of demonetization to break from the past. So I think this is a break from the past year, and we should welcome it.
How would you get into 2017? What asset class do you think will perform with the kind of background that we've had?
Well, I'm not a short-term person really that much, but clearly bonds have been doing well in India, and I think they'll continue to do well. But what's exciting is equities, because equities cannot, of course, be played for 3 months or 1 year. But given the fact that India is poised to grow, India in its culture and administration and governance is only getting better, it will falter along the way, but the direction is set, and therefore I would only buy equities.
And what sectors there? I mean, a lot of themes have been playing out.
Not the great one to talk sectors or probably know them, but clearly the market has been in some kind of correction mode and stabilization mode, and that gives you opportunity to buy into many sectors. But I think some of the FMCG companies have gone into correction because of the current demand slowdown. Some of the financials have had reverses because collections have become difficult. So I think real estate and housing boom people expect to come. So I think there are a fair bit of sectors to look at values. But only thing I would caution is that markets have not been cheap ever since the Prime Minister took office, because there's been so much expectation. So I think one has to research the markets, research the buys. I think there are many good buys.
All right. On that very positive note, Mr. Bhansali, thank you so much for being on Weekender with us today.
And thank you for talking about meditation and Vipassana.